Hello everyone. We are live. It's Elena Bartash, real estate investor, and my guest today is awesome, funny, very smart, very deep thinking girl, Carlin Hostert. Hi, Carlin.
Hi, how are you?
I am awesome because I see you and you are my guest today. How are you?
Well, now I'm just blushing.
Cool.
I'm doing great. James just got home. The kids are somewhat maintained. I've got no complaints over in my space.
Awesome. It's awesome. So, how was your day? How are kids?
The kids are doing great. As you know, we're getting ready to move to Florida. So
Yeah.
we're in the works of moving things around. We're taking things apart. We're putting things together. The kids are super excited. They have a literal countdown. We don't even know what day we're moving yet, and they are counting down. So there's a lot of things going on as far as work and business. Things are going absolutely fantastic. I've got no complaints. I love being able to manage pieces, put things together, really dissect things, get into the nitty gritty. And so that's what I've spent most of my day doing is really deep diving into some of the stuff that I have to take care of behind the scenes to be able to keep our business moving forward.
Yeah, you should be really strong and be brave to combine all stuff together. For those who don't know Carlin, Carlin is mother of four. Her husband, James, is one of our mentor, and actually Carlin is one of my mentor. And they both live in New Mexico right now. They're about to move to Florida right now. And I have no idea how these funny and strong people, how they combine James' full-time job in Air Force, plus four kids, plus their giant plans in business. So Carlin is co-owner of mentorship program together with my mentor Jesse Stanton. Also, she is and her husband, there are full-time real estate investors. They buy properties all around the country, and they have four kids. My question: how you guys do it? How you still survive?
How do I still survive? Well, full endorsement, monster. That is and water. That's the big kicker there. But really, it just comes down to making sure you're communicating with not only your business partner, but your life partner, making sure you're on the same page. So, right before you and I hopped on, I was texting my husband saying, "Hey, what time are you going to be home?" "Oh, I'll be home in about 10 minutes." "Okay, perfect. That sounds great." So, just making sure your communications on par, you understand where the moving parts are, what needs to be done in the household to be able to be doing business. It everything really comes down to communication.
Yeah, I agree. It's such a wise word. Such a wise words. Actually, guys, today our conversation with Carlin will be everything around and about business planning, personal setting personal goals, and everything about real estate investment business, about private money, about getting success. Uh, Several months ago, I joined a wonderful mentorship. My personal mentor, Jesse Stanton, he taught us, guys, without clear vision, without clear goals, you barely will be able to achieve your goals, your business goals. I mean, so Carlin was our mentor when we started to learn how to set up goals. And in our cohort, I believe everyone did it, and it's awesome because really it helps you to see your final destination. It's honestly when you drive your car, you need to see final destination. Otherwise, how you able to reach out your final destination, right? The same with goals and with business planning. Yeah, and this is Carlin, what she was gifted with planning and goal settings. Okay, okay, Carlin. You just mentioned you have a big family and important to have communication. But per my understanding, goal settings requires a lot of concentration and focus. So my first question, you combine this clear business vision, business goals together with your private life with children? What helps you to stay in focus?
I think starting out with understanding your overall big picture, because how you do your goal setting within your business is going to play a big part in how you set your goals for yourself in your personal life. So you can make all of the financial goals and set all of these big lofty, oh, I want to make $1 million, but that doesn't really mean a whole lot if you don't have the understanding of what you want to do with your life itself. So we had talked a little bit earlier about how our family is getting ready to move to Florida. So let's use that as the example. About a
Yeah.
year ago, James and I sat down and we had a conversation. I said, okay, well, where do you want to end up? What do you want to do? And something he has always wanted to do is live in Florida. That's always, his mom and I had a conversation. She said, ever since he was a kid, he has always wanted to live in Florida. I said, okay, great. I personally am relatively flexible and adaptable. I don't care where I'm living as long as I have my people with me. So we sat down and we said, okay, let's figure out how to get to Florida. So fast forward a year later, and that's what we're getting ready to do. James is separating from the military. We're working on moving our family actively. We are working on moving our family to Florida. And that all takes precedence under that umbrella. So everything we are doing within our businesses is with the focus of knowing that our goal is to end up in Florida. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at that bigger picture, you have this overarch and you're like, okay, so here's one business, here's another. How do the goals in these businesses align with what we're trying to do with our life? And you can continue to do that on smaller scale goals. You can do that on bigger scale goals. For Florida specifically, we had set a 1-year benchmark for figuring out if this was possible and if it was doable. And a big part of that, we do have to attribute to what we can do within the military and how we can be flexible in that space. But knowing that we have this plan and we have an idea, we were constantly looking for houses. We were constantly looking at different financing options. We were constantly looking for deals for people who would be willing to support us if we decided to go a homestead route. So all these things, all these tiny little pieces play into what the big picture actually looks like.
Yeah. You see, this is actually a great example how wide should be your vision, correct? To understand how affect all your plans, all your dreams, goals, how it will affect everyone from your family, how it will affect your friends, your business. Yeah, actually right now I'm reading a book about wide vision, and writer claims this is the probably number one that can help you to achieve your goals, to have wide vision. Yeah, very cool, very cool. And you guys are so active, you guys are so funny. I follow you on Facebook. You always do something with your kids. You love nature, you have chickens. Oh my gosh. So it seems
I took a picture of them today.
But you don't have rooster anymore.
No, my neighbors made me get rid of it.
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. People don't understand how blessed they are, right? To hear roosters every morning. Yeah, so it looks like you have millions, multiple goals. How do you prioritize your goals? How you decide which one is priority?
So let me actually, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but this is my screensaver on my phone. So right here where it says do not disturb, under there, that's my 1-year goal. And then it goes up to 5, 10, and then 25. And so the way I prioritize them and the way I organize them is I take a look at like the big picture. I look at what I want to do in the long haul. And then from there, just like we do on those smaller goals, I break it down. So, step 1, my 1-year goal, move to Florida. Great. We're getting ready to check that off. My 5-year, I want to visit Africa, Iceland, and South Korea. So figuring out how each goal plays into the next one. And then the further you get up, 10-year, I want to have properties in South Korea. I want to have checked off all of the 50 states. So I want to be traveling and being able to see. And then it just continues to grow and continues to grow. And so the way I prioritize that is what is the goal? What is the shorter term goal out of all of these? And which one is going to feed into the bigger pictures?
Yeah.
So
Cool. Which one you should start from, right? To make it help you to achieve your long-term goals.
exactly. So if I'm going to look at what is the immediate fuel for right now, it's kind of like building a fire if you think about it. If you're building a fire, you need to have sticks, twigs, smaller pieces to actually be able to build up the fire, and then you can start putting logs on, and then you can start, then once the fire is going, then you can start using it to cook, things like that. But you have to start with the smaller kindling, I guess you'd say. And goals are the exact same way. You have to start with the thing that's going to feed into the fire.
Yeah. Can you please give us example of the situation where, and let's come back a little bit to our real estate investment journey, where how you were able to set up your goals to follow your milestones, how it helped you in some particular situations related to real estate.
So how does real estate feed into, if I'm understanding correctly, how does the real estate investing feed into the goals of my life or finances? Okay.
Yeah.
So let's use moving to Florida as an example. Actually, honestly, I can use real estate investing for literally all of the goals I've accomplished, because real estate investing is what has allowed us to create the finances to be able to comfortably separate from the military. So it literally all started with wholesaling. That's where all of this started. James and I, we ran into a financial situation like 3.5 years ago, somewhere around there, where we were solely relying on his military income. And if you know me, if you know anything about who I am as an individual, I'm not a sit back and watch this happen kind of person. And so I'm watching all of these things unfold, and I'm watching my husband stressed and frustrated, and I'm like, okay, I have to do something. I have to figure out how I can help. And so I started digging into Facebook. I started digging into YouTube. I looked at stock investing. I looked at bonds. I looked at the S&P 500. I looked at cryptocurrencies. I looked at multi-level marketing schemes. I was doing everything I could possibly think of to figure out how to get into a financially safe space. And I came across wholesaling. So we started wholesaling. We were able to do, I think we did I think we did like 10-ish deals or something before I was like, okay, this is horrible. I hate this. And so I started looking more into the investment side of things, and I was looking into how it would create money passively and how that would actually feed into what I needed to do. And so seeing everything compound, I was like, oh, this is going pretty good. Okay, this is great. I like this. And with the way we're able to invest, we're getting money actively, we're getting money passively, our savings account is building, and we hit this point where we say, okay, this is where we can comfortably separate from the military now. And so being able to build portfolios, being able to understand how we're negotiating these deals, what we're actually trying to do, that's really the point that we're like, okay, we are comfortable, we're safe. Even if we lost everything tomorrow, we know how to build it up again. And that's ultimately, personally, my goal is if the plane crashed, all of the banks in America just compounded and collapsed and everything was gone and forever destroyed and our portfolio collapsed, I now know how to build that back up and be able to replicate it again. And as long as I have that skill, I'm not worried about anything, because it comes down to being able to replicate. And so being able to do that, that has been what started our personal investment goals, and it's also what has fueled our life goals. So with that being said, without real estate investing, we'd probably stay in the military.
Yeah. So you believe if you were able to build something once, it means you're not enough capable to replicate it in any
Yeah,
situation, right?
yeah, if it creates your new minimum standard. Once you learn a skill, you don't unlearn that skill. It's like riding a bike. Once you learn how to ride a bike, you don't just forget. I mean, unless there's some sort of traumatic event where something happens to your brain. I mean, if you go 25 years without riding a bike, you're going to get on the bike. You might be a little bit wobbly, but you're going to remember how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Correct.
the same thing with most skills is once you learn how to do it once, you can continue to do that thing again.
Yeah, it sounds to me like a provement of idea. If we
Mhm.
want to grow through the business, through life, through our goals, we really should be ready to feel ourselves uncomfortable. Correct? Because learning
It's
every time new skills means you push out yourself out your zone of comfort, and it's painful all the time.
it's uncomfortable. Yeah, everything that helps you grow will be uncomfortable. I mean, it goes back to riding a bike. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
anyone wants to fall off a bike. Nobody enjoys falling off a bike. Once you fall off, you have that realization. You're like, oh, I need to shift my center of gravity a little bit to the left or maybe a little bit to the right. I need to lean into the turn instead of lean against it. You
Mm-hmm.
start learning these skills and it may be uncomfortable the first 2 or 3 times, but once you figure out how you need to do it, then the only thing you can do is improve that skill. It's
Right.
no longer uncomfortable. Now it's a matter of development.
Yeah. And I know, Carlin, you have so many goals, and you just mentioned a couple of your goals. And I know about Elephant Sanctuary. I know about your dream to travel. So, such a high level goals, and some of them are long-term goals. What helps you when there is a risk of losing motivation along the way? What helps you to keep this level of motivation?
Honestly, just I've always been a dreamer. Ever since I can remember, I've always had my head in the cloud. And when I came across investing and real estate and everything along that lines, it stopped becoming a dream and started becoming a obsession. And there are days where, yeah, I lose motivation. But when I think about it personally, and this is just what is going through my head, I don't know if this would work for everyone, but I think of the people that are relying on me. And if I'm not carrying my weight, how does that affect someone else? How does that make sure that someone else is getting paid? Because I can do everything in my power. I'm more than capable of making money, but I want to make sure the people around me are taken care of. And if I drop the ball on my part, then how is that going to impact someone else? So even if there are days, I'm not going to lie. Earlier today, I was like, I just want to lay down and take a nap. I sat on the couch for maybe 30 minutes and was like, you know what? I actually have some financing I need to take care of. I need to go make sure everything's allotted correctly. I need to go do this, this, and this. I need to make sure this person has their W-9. I need to go do X, Y, and Z. And
Mhm.
so it's the thought of affecting someone else's life for me. And aside from that, if I'm not doing the things that I need to do, then my goals won't happen. They won't. I have to be pushing the needle forward. Even if someday it's only 2 or 3 tasks, that's going to push the needle forward. And if I want my elephant sanctuary, if I want to be buying properties in a different country, if I want to be doing anything, I have to move the needle, even just one notch.
Yeah. And could you please tell us a little bit about what is your system of setting goals, how you do it, how it looks in real life, what you use? Do you use any applications? Do you use just piece of paper and pen? So do you write down outline or just how you do it?
This is one of the very few times I actually don't have my notebook sitting on the left of me. It's in the kitchen right now. But I do things an unorthodox way. Most people have all of these cool little things on their phones. They have widgets, they have apps, and all these things. And while don't get me wrong, I do use my technology for making sure I have my appointments set and everything, and I have reminders set that way. I actually physically go write everything down. And for me, that just kind of sets in stone because, I mean, it's what I feel trustworthy. If something doesn't get done one day and I've written it down, then I can look at what I did yesterday and say, oh, you know what? I missed a phone call with Elena. I'm going to move that to today, or I'm going to move that to tomorrow. So I can see what didn't get done and I can move it over. And for me, it allows me to reflect on what I did and did not accomplish one day, which I want to emphasize. You should really focus on what you did accomplish, because it's very easy to get discouraged if you focus on what didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I am a pen and paper kind of gal. I've got books and books of all of my things. And for me, not only does that help me focus on what I do need to accomplish and what I do need to make sure is taken care of to actually achieve my goals and hit my milestones, but it also gives me an opportunity to reflect and see the growth that I've made from where I started to where I am now.
But anyway, how physically looks your goal setting? So okay, how often you do it? As often you get new idea, or you do it once a week, once a month, once a year? How you, is this something solid, or you modify your goals, your all this written stuff? So maybe you have daily routine, or you have monthly routine.
So for goals, I focus on specific goals. And the reason I do this is because if I allowed myself to get distracted with every new goal I wanted to set, I would never accomplish anything.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get distracted, especially when you're like, oh, you know what? This is a really good idea. I'm going to write this down. And now my screensaver is null and void. Now it doesn't matter because now I have a completely new goal. So I have my phone set, my goals set to my screensaver. So I look at it. I mean, how often are we on our phone? Like 600 times a day. I have to continue checking it. So I look at my phone every day. I look at my goals every day. I don't generally stray from my goals. So everything I'm doing is compounding to make sure I hit that goal. And once I hit my lower tier goals, that's when I'll allow myself to hit a new goal. So I check them quarterly, I check them daily, I check them weekly, I check them monthly. Hold on,
yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, for kids, guys, it's not joke. It's not joke. Someone needs mama's attention. Cool.
They just like playing in here. So when I'm on my meetings, you'll see them like running around by my feet. You'll see them. I mean, as you witnessed, they like to talk to whoever I'm talking to. So they get the opportunity to talk to people from time to time. And that's another motivator for making sure I get my goals accomplished.
Yeah, absolutely. This is your why.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is another thing Jesse taught us. Find your why. Find your why you need all this stuff, why it's important for you, who you want to make happy. And probably, if you're right, if we were thinking only about our pleasure, about our joy, I have a big doubt we can achieve something. We can set big goals. Yeah, we need why. We need something on site why.
It's funny. One of my long-term goals, one of my 25-year goals, you can't see it. The top one says French Chateau, and that's actually not my personal goal. That is my 8-year-old daughter's goal. So she wants to restore French chateaus. And so some of the things that I've incorporated in my milestones up to that point is making sure that I can get her to the point where she can achieve that.
It's so funny. And you just showed us a couple of times something on your phone. So you just took a picture of your written goals, right? To be able to review them really fast. So how your goal review looks like on real life? So you just check, read them to put this information another time in your brain, correct? Just to.
So here, let me show you. This book right
Mhm.
here, this is nothing but the same goal over and over and over. And I write it every single day because I want my goals to be at the top of my mind. This book, look how thick that is. It's nothing but the same goals written over and over and over. Because every day when I wake up, I want to have a clear picture of what I'm trying to accomplish and what I will accomplish and
Mhm.
what my life ambitions are. Because I mean, like we had talked about earlier, it's so easy to get distracted. And when you
Yeah.
let yourself get distracted, then you don't have the clear vision. And then that breaks things down into more granular pieces. If you don't have your vision, you don't know what your goal is for the day, you don't know what your tasks are for the day, you don't know what you're going to be trying to accomplish. And I mean, it's kind of like pulling on like a strand of yarn. If you pull it
Mhm.
and it comes unraveled, that's what you want. But once you pull it and there's a knot in there, you're not going to get the same effect. You get stuck.
Mhm. Mhm. So you just said you write down your all your goals and your plans daily. It means, uh, do you write down the same information, or you have this breakdown what you're going to do every single day to achieve your big goals? So how your daily routine looks like? What actually you write down?
So that's a twofold. So in this book, it's all the same thing. Every single day, it's all the same thing.
Oh,
In my
cool.
general journal, the way I do it, because I mean, 4 kids, I divide my paper in half, and on one half, I say I have my to dos for my home. Those are the things that I need to get done for the kids, for my household,
Mhm.
for my husband. So it'll be like Axton has an appointment at 2 o'clock. And then on the other side, on this side of the paper, I have everything that I need to accomplish for work.
Mm.
And so I'm able to see the parallels between, okay, if I have a podcast at 12:45, that gives me a 15-minute window here to get Axton to his appointment. So I'm able to compare and contrast for where I need to be moving and how I can sync my home life to my work life.
Mm. Oh my gosh, it's such a detailed routine, and you do it. And how often do you do your goals? Uh, Once a day or twice a day? Do you do journaling every morning and evening, or just one time in the evening or in the morning?
In this book, it's once a day.
Mm-hmm.
My journal itself, that is my lifeblood. So everything I do, all of my business notes are there, all of my home notes are there. It's got my personal thoughts in there. Like if I were to die tomorrow and you were to look in my journal, you would see how I've been managing my finances for my home. You'd see all of my feelings. You can see all of my personal affirmations. You can see all of my daily plans. You can see the things I've set as priorities for the day. So everything for me specifically goes into this one particular book. And I
Amazing.
do so I'm in my journal almost all day every day.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Who taught you this stuff, Carlin? Who showed you how you what you're doing right now?
It's been a lot of evolution, honestly. So if you go back through all of my old journals, it's a progression. So I label each journal from the time that I start this journal. So every page is dated, whether it's just kind of like a random two sentence note, it's dated.
Mhm.
If it's a very thorough breakdown of my day, it's dated. It's so you can see from where I started doing all of this in 2000 or in 2021, all of my journals have the year on the bottom of the right here.
Mhm.
It was on the wrong side on that one. So you can see the progression from where I started to where I am now. And I've picked up different tricks from different people. There's a guy on YouTube that I like to follow. His name is Clark Kegley, and
Mm.
he is a journaling master. And so I've picked up things from him. There's been personal involvement. So I've just kind of adapted things to what works for me.
Mhm.
And it really comes down to what works for someone most likely won't work for someone else. And
Mhm.
that's okay. So just adapting things as you go. If it doesn't work one way, don't quit. Just make a pivot and see what's going to be more beneficial in a different area.
I just wrote down the name you mentioned, Clark Kingley.
Yeah, I'll send you his YouTube channel. I love him.
Yeah, cool. So he speaks about journaling.
He speaks about journaling, he speaks about mindset, he has book reviews, so I get book suggestions from him. He is very focused on personal development.
Hmm. Cool.
So I pick
Yeah.
up all sorts of things from him.
Yeah, I love this kind of stuff. And Carlin, let's come back a little bit to our real estate routine. So I remember JC and you guys spent quite a bit time for us, for our cohort under JC's mentorship, teaching us how to set up goals for business.
Yep.
And Jesse said several times, and you said several times, so guys, your business should be predictable, should
Yes.
be very clear for you, should be well planned, and you need to understand every single day what you should do today. So not everyone was and is so lucky being under you and Jesse's mentorship. Not everyone was able to go through these couple long, huge lessons where you guys taught us how to set up business goals and how to break down. Could you please tell to people who never done it before how what they should start with and how looks this breakdown for how often people should set their milestones, how often people should review them, if this should be something solid or it should be live information.
So the way that I personally encourage, and I mean, as you've seen, I think having your goals set for about a year is a really good starting point because it allows you to go back and reflect quarterly. Of course, you
Mhm.
can go further into detail, and Elena, you and I have actually done this together where we've
Yeah,
set a 90-day goal.
yeah.
And you give yourself certain points to go back and say, okay, have I met my milestones? What has gone wrong here? How did I get off course? And what do I need to do to actually get back on track? And so that goes back to the journaling thing, making sure you're reflecting, making sure you're setting the tasks at hand like a priority. So I have things during the day that should get done, but then I have my priorities. And the
Mhm.
priorities are if nothing else gets done in the day, those have to get done. They have to. Those are a non-negotiable. And those are the things that are going to help me move forward. So when I get back to we're going to say we're working on a 1-year goal here. So when I go look at my quarterly reflection and I check my milestones, I can say, oh, you know what? When I look back at it, I've noticed that the inconsistencies in my priorities are happening. I'm not actually prioritizing my priorities, and that's a problem.
Mhm.
So, how do I need to course correct this? What do I need to be doing today to make sure that that priority gets taken care of? And that allows you to actively go look at your time blocking, say, oh, you know what? I spent X amount of time here. If you haven't ever heard of a time audit, I would 110% recommend everybody do that. And basically, all a time audit is you're not trying to fit a specific schedule. You are literally just tracking every single task you do. And I would encourage that for 1 to 3 weeks because what you're going to see is even though you have this agenda here and you have these tasks that you've put priorities and emphasis on, when you do a time audit, you can say, okay, here's what I'm doing over here, or here's what I'm supposed to be doing, but this is what I'm actually doing. And you can
Mhm.
go say, oh, you know what, I spent 30 minutes just doom scrolling. I took a 50-minute shower and that was probably not necessary. I did this and this. And you know what? I neglected self-care here. And neglecting my self-care has a direct impact on the priorities over here. And
Mm-hmm.
so it gives you the opportunity to go back and say, okay, you know what? In my quarterly check-in, I didn't do this. I did this. I was goofing off over here. I didn't maintain my relationships. And that's important. Maintaining your relationships through all of this is very important because your relationships are what's going to fuel everything in your business. So I
Yeah.
guess to go back to the initial question, quarterly check-ins, monthly check-ins, weekly check-ins, and if you're still struggling, do a time audit for just a minimum of 1 week. And you'll be able to see what tasks you need to take care of and what you are not prioritizing versus what you are.
Yeah, important to break down. And I remember when Jesse taught us, so our goals, our task, it should be flexible document. It should be breathing, right? We should come back to this information again and again. And like you just mentioned, to see what we've done, what we should done, what we should modify, right? To rewrite this document. Oh my gosh, in our business, real estate investment, it's probably we are in really good situation because we can count our milestones and our KPIs. For
Yes.
example, how many people we reach out for the last month, how many positive deals potential deals received from people, how many underwrites we've done, how many offers we sent, how many offers were approved. So it's pretty much easy. But for me, really, when someone wants to achieve something different, if it's not only about selling, sale. Uh, Sometimes people should be probably really creative with their goals, right? It's not only about numbers. It's about your vision, your imagination.
Yep.
Correct? Yeah.
It's the numbers are what's going to get you there, but the creativity and the thoughtfulness and the things that will impact you personally, the numbers won't exist if you don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all just kind of hypothetical until you start creating this vision. And once you start creating this vision, then you can start going, oh, you know what? You know what I could do is here. I could do this here. Like let's use the elephant sanctuary for an example. I did not, ever since I was a kid, I was like, I want to work with animals. I want to do this. I want to be a zoologist. I want to be a biologist. I want to study the ocean, whatever. It's always been about doing something to preserve nature. And so when we got into real estate, I was like, oh, you know what'd be cool is an elephant sanctuary. That was just like kind of a playful thought. And you know what I did is I said that out loud to someone. I was like, yeah, I think it would be cool to have an elephant sanctuary. And they were like, you should do it. You should set that goal.
Yeah.
And the minute that happened, all of these thoughts started coming into my head. I started putting it out there and letting people know that that's what I want to do. I started building relationships with people who had similar passions and similar goals. I started talking to people who would be willing to give me money to fund all of this. I started talking to people who had degrees that would help be able to develop and take care of these animals. And so when you look at the big picture, once you have that, then it's like looking at raindrops. Things start falling, and you can start seeing what actually needs to build to be able to get your rain cloud.
Yeah. Great examples. And it proves you're really dreamer and you are more than business lady. Yeah. You have something important for your soul, something important for your spirit, especially if you have children, right? You need to teach them there is not only money. Yeah, money is huge part of our life. We cannot avoid it. We cannot get rid of it, right? We need to eat something. But
Yeah.
having children, to give them human skills, to give them human values, really, you really need to have something larger than just business goals, right?
I think I think that's something that we neglect is like we grow up and we forget what it's like to be children. And when you start looking at goals and dreams and ambitions, like what would the child you want? If you could go back and put your brain into the body of a child, what would you imagine?
Mhm.
And and if you take the time to imagine that, why isn't it possible? Is we grow up and suddenly we think that we have to work a W-2 and we've got to break our backs for 40 hours a week, maybe 60, maybe 80 hours a week. We just completely forget what it's like to have an imagination. And all of the things that are beautiful about the world came from someone who decided to be a dreamer. So why did we all stop doing that?
Yeah. So dreamer is not just to be romantic out of reality. Dreamer is means you build your reality with your thoughts, with your minds, with
Mm-hmm.
picture that you draw in your somewhere in your brain, inside of your brain. Correct?
100%.
It's
It's
awesome.
I, I don't think like the Wright brothers, they decided to make an airplane. What were they thinking when they're like, you know what? I want to fly. Birds do it. Why can't we do it? I don't think Henry Ford ever stopped to think, I don't think it's possible to make a car. Like these things, these amazing things that we have in the world, light bulbs, cars, airplanes, water bottles, like someone somewhere had an idea and instead of being like that's not possible, they found the ways to make it possible. And if everyone does that for their own goals, the world would be so much happier. People would be so much happier. The world would be so much better. Everyone
Mhm.
would be more willing to help each other. And I think that is where the big piece comes into play because we stop sharing our goals. We don't want to tell people because they think it's going to be silly. And if you're willing to share, then it opens up the door for an elephant sanctuary. It opens up the door for someone helping you build a French chateau. It opens up the door for owning properties in a different country. It opens up the door for being able to help people who are in a less fortunate situation. If you don't communicate these things, if you don't
Yeah.
dream these big dreams, then none of this is possible.
Yeah. Right. Nobody would treat seriously person who created computer if
Exactly.
this person would start talking about computer 100 years ago, right? They would probably send this creator to hospital, mental hospital, to fix his brain.
They probably would, but you know what? It's not going to stop the goals. It's not going to stop the dreams. He's just going to be in a hospital dreaming about it.
Right. So many examples. Many examples. Actually, uh, you know, uh, I gave this example a couple of times already on my podcast. So my one of my dream is to invite, not to invite, to have as a guest Joe Dispenza. Joe Dispenza, yeah, you know Joe Dispenza. Oh my gosh, I love him.
Yes.
Carlin, I sent him million messages already, and I know he will be my guest one day. He
There
will.
you go.
I love him.
I'll be
I
sitting there.
Yeah, and
There.
he is a scientist. He is a doctor. He does he works with human brain. He can explain from their science perspective how our thoughts affects our life, how we build our reality with our ability to see, to manage our thoughts, to stay in relaxed and positive mood in this condition, to be able to visualize stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he always say, people, until you will not learn how to see clear what you want, everything starts in your brain. Like you just mentioned, every beautiful things were created by people, and one day someone had this idea, just like something small in their minds, in their thoughts, and it was growing. We got something important in the result. So humans really are very powerful creation. We can make plans really huge, right? And we can start with our personal dreams from the very small thing, and we don't have to worry about what other people believe about your goals, about your dreams. Just set this goal and see your vision and go and move ahead.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Set
I
the
hope,
goal, make the plan.
yeah, and make this plan. Okay, but Carlin, I know so many people they got stuck on their planning stage. People really don't know where to start with to set their goals. So, what would you suggest for these people? What they should start from if they got stuck?
Uh, that's kind of a tricky one because everyone has these different dreams and these different goals, which means the action plan is going to look completely different from one person to another. Like Joe Dispenza, that's going to be a completely different game plan than setting up an elephant sanctuary. But it
Hmm.
comes, it's what is that phrase? It's the devil's in the details. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes.
Yeah.
So when you look at the big picture, it's kind of like taking apart a puzzle. It's one piece at a time. So what does one piece look like? How, if you're working on this area over here, where's the corner piece? What does the corner piece look like? I mean, for let's use Joe Dispenza. Let's use that as an example. So if you're working on getting Joe Dispenza into your podcast, then a great way to establish that is develop a credible podcast, which
Hmm.
you are in the works of, develop recognition, develop your identity, and create something where you're putting it in front of his face and you're saying, hey, this is you have to see this.
Yep.
You have to. And it might take some time. It might take a year, it might take 6 months, it might take 4 years, who knows. But when you're continuously chipping away at that, eventually you're going to form this bigger picture. And so now let's say you've got 200 episodes of your podcast,
Hmm.
developed brand recognition, you've developed your credibility, you've developed a platform, you've developed an audience, and now you can take that to Joe Dispenza and say, here, look, this is what I have. And he might say, hey, you need to actually do X, Y, and Z, but now you have an idea of what you need to do in order to get him on. You have all of this understanding, and now he's created a baseline for you to say, okay, I'm going to do up, down, left, and right. And when I do up, down, left, and right, then Joe Dispenza is going to come onto my podcast. And that's what goal setting is. That's what creating these things is breaking it down into such a small detail that it's not an overwhelming feeling. So an elephant sanctuary, that is a big goal. That's lofty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, it's not an intimidating thought because I know that I need to do research. I know that I need to develop relationships with people with money. I know that I need to develop relationships with people who have something like the Kalahari. I'm sure anyone who lives up in Wisconsin or that area knows what that is. But you start creating these little steps, and suddenly now you understand where the stairs are going. And that's ultimately what goals is creating the steps to get to this, to get to the top of the stairs. So if you
Yeah.
can work something backwards, that's where it all starts.
Yeah. Start from something. Okay, guys, we have probably 5 minutes left. For those who watching us right now, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Carlin would be happy. She's so goal-given girl. I know her. She's happy to help. She's happy to answer your questions about goal settings, about dreams, about your plans. She helps a lot of people actually, and she always reach out back to people when someone has questions. So please ask questions. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Go ahead.
So Naomi, I've been watching the comments actually. Naomi, I love this. As a homeschooler, mother of 5, kudos to you. You're brave. I couldn't do it. I could. I just don't want to. I'm working on striking the right balance. I wish I could get a gander at the journal. Naomi, I'm always happy to share my journal. So I'll message you. How do you spell Clark Kegley's last name? I think it's Kegley. And then how regularly do you nurture new blossoming relationships? So that's a question I get a lot, is how do I nurture relationships? And there's honestly no right or wrong way to go about it. For me personally, this is something that my mom has instilled in me since I was a child, is if you're thinking about someone, let them know. And that's what I do personally. I don't have some auto programmed message that goes out every Tuesday at 6 o'clock. If I'm thinking about someone, I'll send them a text and just say, hey, just thinking about you. I hope you're doing great. And that goes a lot further than what people would expect. I have one friend, she's actually a CPA. I send her a text every Monday and every Wednesday just because it's an inside joke. That's it. It's finding a way to just be relatable to people. It doesn't have to be this huge thought out thing. If you're thinking about someone, just let them know. So that's my advice on that. Some people have other opinions, but if you're asking how I build relationships, it's just a simple text. Say, hey, I'm thinking about you. Hope you're doing great.
And sometimes, such a small things, they play such a major role in our life sometimes. Yeah, and Pansy, thank you so much. I see your comments about Dispenza, about how much you miss Carlin. I know you guys friends.
Fancy.
It's so cool. Yeah, thank you, Pansy. Awesome comment. Thank you so much. It's so touching. Oh my gosh, it's so cool how we're able to meet even here in our podcast, right? And to give each other some love. We are here.
Did you know Pansy actually slept on my couch for like 2 days?
Really?
Yeah, she came through New Mexico. So she stopped by. We had fabulous dinner. We went out to White Sands National Monument. So we went and sat under a pile of sand and watched our kids do stupid things. It was a ton of fun. Yeah, Pansy's a testament. I have an open door policy. So if you're in the area, you need some place to stay, I will gladly put you up.
It's so cool. Oh, actually, I remember we've been that day on the class with JC and you, and I saw Pansy just came.
Yeah.
You gave her like a surprise to JC. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Pansy's coming back this winter. Cool.
I hate to ruin this for you, Pansy. We're actually going to be moving to Florida the first week of November.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh my God, guys, it's so funny. Everything's so funny. Like modern technology can kill us, but in the same time, they help us not to lose each other, right? So cool. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Carlin. It was so cool. I believe it was helpful for many people because we really need to realize planning our life, to break down our goals, to set our goals. This is number one stuff when we should start making business, doing business, planning business, running business. Because if you don't know where you go, Mm-hmm. If you don't know your destination, where you're going to go, what you're going to achieve, right? Do you want to buy $100 by end of this year, or you want to buy $500 by end of next year? That will let you to start thinking more deeply about elephant sanctuary, about something else.
Yeah. And if anyone needs help, just message me.
Yeah, guys, you will have a link to Carlin's Facebook page under this video. Carlin and her husband, there are real estate investors. They buy properties nationwide. please don't feel hesitate. Reach Carlin out directly. Ask your questions. How she set up goals? How she plans your business? And she's always will be happy to help you. She is awesome person and open girl.
If I could add one thing, if anyone sends me a friend request, please send me a message. Otherwise, I will probably not approve it.
Yeah.
Send me a message.
Okay. Yeah. Take it personal, right? And be responsible. Yeah. Too many people send us requests, and honestly, so many fake accounts on Facebook. When you start to be more visible, to be more public, sometimes interesting people send us requests. So please be more specific to Carlin.
Thank you so much, Elena.
Thank you so much, Carlin, for being here, my friend, and to be my guest, and for all this information.
Of course.
Yeah. Thank you so much. See you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye. Guys, it was Carlin Hostert. She is real estate investor. She is my friend. She is co-owner of Wonderful Mentorship, where she teaches together with Jesse Stanton. She teaches mindset. She teaches business, and she is really constantly growing person. She's really awesome. She's someone really very special. She's different. She's unusual compared to many people. Honestly, she's awesome. Okay, and me, Elena Bartash, real estate investor. I really hope we gave you guys some valuable information, because the main goal for my podcast is to give you value and to help you guys in your journey, especially for those who are in real estate business. We all need support because it's hard business. We all need support. We need to have some specific mindset, to work on our mindset constantly. And I really, really hope my podcasts will help you. I have many guests are coming, include Vina Jetty. She will be my guest in a couple of days. Jamil, he will be my guest next month. Space Morby will be my guest in November. Couple other beautiful people interesting. I have writers. I have mindset coaches coming as my guests. So please join my podcast. And by the way, if you guys are private money lenders, please don't feel hesitate. Reach out to me. I am a real estate investor. I buy properties nationwide, and I'll be happy to start building relationship with you to understand your goals and understand how I can help you achieve your goals. Thank you. Thank you for being today with us. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.